Now, welcome to another weekend ramble, where this time we're going to talk about...
Thrawn.
Okay, we're going to talk about Thrawn. What about him?
I want to know what you think he's been up to. I want to know how, if at all, you think he has changed in his time away. How is his relationship with Ezra these days?
That's the real
Why
mystery,
is he
isn't
still
it?
there? How come he can't get back,
Do you think they went their separate ways immediately? Do you think they have...
Did he capture Ezra immediately, and maybe Ezra's been his prisoner for years?
Could be. I mean, they were on the bridge of the same ship, and I know people are like, how did they not fly out into space because the...
Yeah, because the glass...
Sure. Let's assume the Purgil, they generate some sort of bubble around the ship, and there was oxygen, and... I don't know.
Or maybe somehow the ship's shields were still up?
Sure.
I don't know.
Somehow something happened and they didn't die.
Somehow something happened. Great, got it.
So let's ignore that for now. Let's not worry about how they survived the trip through hyperspace to another galaxy. And let's ask what happened when they got there.
When we last saw them, Thrawn was wrapped up in tentacles, and Ezra was holding him.
Sounds tender.
We recall the door was closed, and there were a bunch of troopers on the other side.
Yeah, tons of stormtroopers yet,
Yes. So I imagine that the moment they got there, things happened. The door was probably eventually pried open. Thrawn was going to be released by the tentacles. They were going to sit there and hold him for the rest of the time.
You don't know.
We don't know, I guess, but
Yeah.
how long can Ezra hold out having the Purgil do that?
And let's remember, these are Rebels stormtroopers, not Andor stormtroopers, so they're pretty useless.
That's
I'm kidding, but... No, I mean, what did the Purgil... I mean, did they just hold Thrawn the entire trip? Like, did Thrawn just I guess I'm... And how long does this trip take? I think we're forgetting that aspect, too. It's not like they're going through a wormhole or something. They're literally traveling through a tunnel through, a sub-dimension, basically, to another galaxy, which should take some time. Mm-hmm. So, what happened... I mean, I guess we don't need to get into that question too much, but it's still an interesting question, right?
It's a safe assumption that they probably just held him till they got there.
Yeah.
Because they probably had to hold on to the ship the whole time.
Well, then we have to assume that it wasn't a very long trip, that they get there pretty quickly.
Maybe Purgils travel pretty quick.
Yeah, maybe they do. Maybe it's near instantaneous for all we know. Which, then
when,
we would have to assume that this Purgil will...
When Grogu watched them, they were moving faster than they were.
Yeah, but not by much. That's an interesting point.
They could have been casual travel. Purgil, they're not in a hurry.
Doing the sightseeing tour of the galaxy. We're not
if you
going
look to your left, you'll see a small little green thing looking at us.
I feel like this is one of those things where the closer you look into it, or the more fine details you look at here, the more you're going to realize how kind of silly it is.
Yes.
That this shouldn't make any sense, but maybe we try to let that all go and say, okay, so they get to the other galaxy.
Yep.
They drop him off. Mm-hmm. Thrawn's been held the whole time, and now Ezra's in the middle of a ruined Star Destroyer with Thrawn and a bunch of Rebel stormtroopers. Mm-hmm. We're now not in Rebels anymore, so they become...
So the first question is, does he get captured? I mean, he's been using the Force for who knows how long, talking to the Purgil, directing, we need to get out of here, we need to go, and so does he, collapse from the exertion, or does he realize the door's about to be busted open and he needs to get out of here? What does he do?
I think he probably immediately makes a run for it.
I think so, too. I think he jumps out the already broken window and he's out.
Yes. And
because he knows he cannot be captured.
Here's a question about the Purgil taking them to another galaxy that is, I think, going to be relevant or needs to be. Why do they take Ezra to this other galaxy? Because it is kind of implied that Ezra understands that he's going somewhere. He leaves the message for Sabine, and it's not just a matter he knows he's going to be captured or potentially killed on the other ship. He makes it sound like I'm going somewhere. He even tells Ahsoka, you got to come find me. So it's heavily implied Ezra knew he was going somewhere.
Right.
So why were they taking him to this other galaxy?
Maybe because he made it understood to them through the Force that he needed to go somewhere that was hard to get back from or that he couldn't get back from.
So you're saying
And the Purgil maybe know they're the only ones who can get back from there?
So you're saying he knew he had to take Thrawn off the board, so he took him to another galaxy. Mm-hmm. Okay. I would argue killing him was better than staying in this galaxy and being with my friends, but...
Well, he could have just had the Purgil crush him to death.
That's what I'm getting at. I would have been you gotta... Right yes, just squeeze. Just keep squeezing until the head pops off.
Heck, at that point, he could have
even
grabbed out his blaster and just shot him in the face. I mean,
exactly. I mean, he could have. Yeah, he could have done a lot of things.
It was a kid's show; they didn't do that.
Well, sure,
so that forced us to do another galaxy instead.
But looking at it logically, instead of just taking Thrawn off the board, just kill him and completely remove him. Though somehow he might return, I guess.
Somehow. So I think they get to the new galaxy. Ezra makes a run for it. He jumps out the window and he's gone before those troopers open the door.
Yes, probably immediately gets right off the ship. Mm-hmm. Though, again, you still ask why he lets Thrawn live. But unless he feels like Thrawn has a purpose yet. Unless he knows a bigger picture.
It could be. Force people, it's hard to tell what they know sometimes.
Which could tie back to Thrawn and the Grisk and the larger threat to the galaxy, which
so
in
I think
the books
at
exists.
that point, Ezra immediately tried to make himself scarce, and now Thrawn has to get his bearings on where he is before he can act.
That won't take him long, but yeah.
It'll take him a little bit.
Yeah,
you probably want to explore where they are, maybe try and figure out if they can jump back on their own.
Yeah.
We have no idea if their hyperspace engines were maybe damaged on the trip, or did he try to just jump back? What did, there's going to be some trial and error, some
well, it's heavily implied through the Eye of Sion that you need a pretty burly ship to go across. I mean, so.
But he won't know that immediately. Like, he won't know where he is.
No, he won't immediately know where he is.
So he's got to figure out where he is.
Yeah.
Or figure out, can I jump back? So he'll have some time before he's hunting Ezra. If he's hunting Ezra.
Well, I mean, he can do both at the same time. He's going to want to find Ezra because Ezra's the one who brought him here. Mm-hmm. Like, as soon as he's like, okay, we're in another galaxy. These giant whales, fish things, appeared out of nowhere and carted me off. Like, what is the deal with that?
Well, then he might go hunting Purgil before he hunts Ezra.
Well, he could probably hunt both. It depends on how many troopers he has. What resource? I mean, does he have still Star Destroyers and other ships?
Ship, so.
Yeah. I mean, does he have TIE fighters, not Star Destroyers? Well, he might have other Star Destroyers, too.
Fighters.
So, yeah, does he have a full complement of TIE fighters in the Star Destroyer that weren't damaged? Does he? What does he have?
Depends on what Dave Filoni thinks he needs.
Well, yeah, exactly. What does the story need him to have is
what does
the answer will be. Yeah.
And then I presume he will find the remnants of the Night Sisters there. Because I figure they're the ones who communicated back to Morgan Elsbeth, calling out to him. I mean, he can't.
It'll be interesting because the way Thrawn is portrayed, like his weakness is he can't kind of understand the Force, right? He gets a lot of things. Politics and the Force seem to be two things he doesn't fully understand. So what if he has spent a lot of time with these Night Sisters and they've kind of gotten him up to speed finally? What if this guy finally understands how the Force works?
And he's even more deadly.
Exactly.
But he doesn't know that the war is over.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't know that his side lost. I figure when he comes back to the regular Star Wars galaxy, is he gonna care about the Imperial remnants?
Well, we know he is because that's what the story needs, but we need
Is that what the story needs?
Well, I guess we could be wrong.
Does
Maybe
he even need to
care.
come back being a bad guy? I think it'd be hilarious if they get there and stuff and Thrawn's like, oh, hello all.
Good Thrawn voice. Well, I mean,
he only cares about getting back to his people, and he's like, you know what? I don't care what happened. I don't care that we lost. I want to go back and take care of my people.
Well, that's what he's always been trying to do.
Exactly. So why are we assuming? Well, obviously the main characters don't know what his real motivations are, but everyone's assuming he's going to come back to the galaxy and he's immediately going to wreck it. He's there to just destroy everything and revive the Empire when that was never
his goal. And it makes no sense.
It was like a tit-for-tat type thing. I work for the Empire's going to help my people.
I'll crush the rebellion for you, but now I'm going to need help. My just ascendancy back home, we're going to need some help.
Right.
That's the idea.
Yeah, he doesn't care what happens to the main galaxy because his people are doing their own thing in their own corner of wild space.
Yeah, I mean, if he still is the character we know from, especially the books, where this is all established, and mind you, Filoni is not known for keeping to his own canon, apparently, and much less book canon, or comic book canon, too. But it doesn't make sense for him to come back and see, okay, the Imperial Remnant is scattered and probably inferior, I would imagine, probably inferior at this point to the New Republic, right? If you just stacked them all together, side by side, and said who's got the better army or fleet right now, I think it's New Republic. So why would he fight this war just to weaken both sides if the Chiss Ascendancy still needs help? Wouldn't his goal be to come back and say, all right, I know we had some problems, New Republic, but I'm going to lay it out for you. I'm going to tell you why I was with the Empire, and now I'm going to help you destroy the remnants of the Empire. His loyalty lies with his people, period.
Yes.
So I don't understand why he'll come back unless the remnant is much stronger than we realize, which we have not seen at all. We haven't even seen a full-on Star Destroyer out of them yet.
Right.
We've seen cruisers.
Because they're kind of hiding.
Yeah. So you have this big problem of what in the heck is going to be Thrawn's motivation to reestablish the Empire and defeat the New Republic. Mm-hmm. Because he doesn't just do it to do it.
No.
That would be a complete disservice to the character, both just in general and what has been established in the books.
What if there's a whole different aspect that we're not looking at? as you've said 100 times, all roads lead to the sequels.
Yes.
We know that by sequel time, the group known as the First Order, which we believe to be the Imperial Remnants, they have an armistice with the New Republic, a treaty of sorts. You have your space, we have ours.
Yeah.
What if this comes about because what if this great war, this great battle we're expecting, isn't between those two groups? What if it's against Thrawn and the Chiss Ascendancy? What if they band together and that, like, earns them the armistice in their own space?
That would also conflict with the books because the Chiss Ascendancy are not aggressors. In fact, they have a lot of... They're almost like... They remind me a little bit of Star Trek where they have kind of like that prime directive where they don't interfere. Like, you come mess with the Chiss, they mess back. But if you don't mess with them, they tend to leave you alone.
Could they have changed in this time away? After their
Potentially.
battle with the Grisk?
Sure. It could be that they want to... I don't know. I mean, there could be a lot of reasons. I'm simply saying the Chiss are not like these... They're not a warfaring, conquering species. That is not how they are presented. So it would be a little strange. I mean, I'm not saying I hate your idea. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't make sense that they would, like, okay, we're going to conquer the rest of the galaxy now, because that is just not... That's not what they do.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, there could be another species, again, the Grisk, that they all have to team up against. That was kind of the idea originally. It could be that the Chiss and the remnants of the Empire and
they all have
the
to
New
fight
Republic,
the
they
Grisk
all
with the
band...
Yuzon Vong and...
Yeah, basically they fight the Yuzon Vong, now known as the
Yeah,
Grisk.
so what if they all fight that together and the Chiss afterwards, they're like, yeah, we're going back to our space, bye all, and they just duck out.
That's what they would do. They would not try to get themselves involved in it.
And then the First Order is kind of established, and they're given their own space due to their service for the greater galaxy.
Well, I mean, you would too, right? I mean, it's not like everybody on the Empire was evil. We know Palpatine was evil. We know Darth Vader. We know a lot of them did some horrible things.
Even reading the book Lost Stars, that the girl who had joined up with the Empire, she wasn't evil.
Yeah.
She honestly thought she was helping the galaxy.
Yes, the vast majority of members of the Empire, your common stormtrooper, your average lieutenant, they're probably not evil people. So the idea that they are all evil and should all be paying a price for what Palpatine did it's not exactly fair.
They were, some of them, deceived.
I don't want to go with the, well, I was just following Order 60. I'm not implying that they are completely guiltless, but sometimes you have to look at the bigger picture and realize, as you said, like, they might not have known exactly what was going on. Not all of them were evil.
Well, not all of the rebellion were probably good people.
Well, we've now seen that as well,
there were people who joined up
haven't
as
we?
an excuse to kill.
Yeah, we've also seen that.
These things happen. War takes... When you're recruiting and stuff like that, you take who you want.
War is messy.
War is messy.
Yes.
It makes heroes and villains of people
Both sides.
who may not be
George
heroes.
said it right in Revenge of the Sith opening crawl. There are heroes on both sides.
Absolutely there are.
Yeah.
Like, Dooku wasn't a bad guy. He just had ideals that weren't lining up with the rest of the galaxy.
Well, he kind of saw the problems with the Jedi Order, too, right? It's not... And I'm not defending Dooku's actions, but he wasn't... he didn't wake up one morning and say, I want to be a Sith today. I'm going bad guy. No, he was... There were problems that kind of led him in that direction. But no, I do think the toughest thing Dave Filoni will have to do, or the series has to do, or with Thrawn in general, is his motivations, because they have to be airtight. They have to make sense.
Because Thrawn isn't a character you can slack out on.
No.
Thrawn he's a smart, intelligent, empathetic villain.
Yeah, he's a complex dude.
Like
he's
Thanos.
Very complex. He is.
Thanos was trying to do things for the greater good. Yes,
Yes.
he wasn't entirely intelligent about his plans, whereas Thrawn would be.
Yeah.
But he's a villain you kind of got behind, understood. You're like, I see why you're doing this. Your people were wiped out due to something, and now you're going to try and save the entire galaxy from that. I get it.
Yeah. So that is the first thing you have to do with Thrawn. Like, yeah, you have to nail his just pure genius as well, but you have to get his motivation, because if his motivation doesn't make sense, Thrawn isn't going to make sense, and you ruin the character.
Right. He's on levels of Thanos. He's on levels of Baron Zemo.
Yeah, he's
playing 3D chess while everyone else is on the flat board.
Exactly. Everybody else is playing checkers and barely knows the rules, and Thrawn's playing, he's, as you say, 3D chess. So you got to get that right. Will Filoni hold to the Grisk and what has been established in books? Will he try to make it something else? But whatever it is, it has to work, because that's the crux of it all.
He can't ignore the books. He's got to stop making his own canon. That's not how this is supposed to work.
Especially that they're...
You can't penalize people for reading books.
No,
that's what they're doing. We read the Ahsoka book. We got an understanding of what had happened to her, how she changed over time. He goes, nah, this isn't what I wanted, and therefore we've been penalized for reading a book.
Yeah, and it's one thing, like, this is the character I made, and I let somebody else write a single book about her, and I kind of tried to keep something similar at the very least.
She was at the Siege of Mandalore, and she got her lightsabers back and fought an Inquisitor. That was the only things, and he changed the if, whens, and wheres of all that.
Yes, sure. You could also say he simplified the story in the books, and that the books are still canon, that he just kind of told a condensed version in 20 minutes. But my point is, this is not a character made by Dave Filoni. This is a character made 30 years ago by Timothy Zahn, who has become a much beloved character. Not that Ahsoka isn't, obviously. This is one of those characters that a lot of people, they just love this guy because he is just that damn good of a character. And so you can't take him and be like, well, I'm just going to undo everything you've ever done with this character. 6 more books, too,
that explain who he is in canon?
Yeah, he has 6 new canon books, 2 trilogies of books, which deal with Thrawn's motivations for pretty much everything. And so you can't ignore that. You can't say to the guy who made the character, yeah, you've done a lot of great things with him, but I'm going to take him and do something totally different and make him what I need him to be. This is a case where you can't take him and fit him into your story. You're going to have to fit the story around Thrawn. Otherwise, you're going to see a lot of people upset. And I am one of them. I'm a fan of Dave Filoni. I like a lot of what he does, but if he screws this up...
Well, you don't want to watch this and then realize you have to burn 6 books because he's just retconned the character so poorly that those books don't make sense anymore?
Exactly. I love those books. I've loved every book I've ever read with Thrawn in. I enjoyed what he did with them in Rebels.
Like, Disney needs to rein in Dave if he's going to retcon everything.
You do.
They retconned Kanan Jarrus's Order 66 moments, too.
He just put him in the Bad Batch. He could have been any Jedi. He didn't need to do that.
No, we had to put Kanan in there.
He had to make that connection, which
wasn't necessary?
It wasn't, no.
Or you could have made it a little more like what happened in the comics?
Yeah, you could have made those similarities.
Instead, there's kind of like this weird retcon material, and then you have to like try and squeeze it back to what happened in the comics, which is rough.
Yeah, different planets, different clone troopers, different everything. The Bad Batch was not there in the comics, so it's all changed.
There was no reason to do that. Just put a new Jedi Padawan in there.
Yes.
You could have put somebody else that we're familiar with.
Yeah, or just make up a brand new Jedi or something and have him run away, and we got another one on the loose. Why not?
It could have even been just an adult Jedi general. Didn't even have to be a kid.
The kid makes it a little more,
Just saying.
Yeah,
it could have been another Jedi that survived, that we knew survived.
Sure.
Could have been Quinlan Voss. Yeah. Nah, he was busy. Never mind.
Voss is always busy. That's his secret.
He's busy doing Dark Disciple books, and he's got things.
He's got things paths going on. We need to see Quinlan Voss in the new canon.
Why not? We know he was around.
Yeah, in this time period. If you're gonna do any story, I think the Voss story would be interesting during the time between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope.
I am interested in what he's up to.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know that we covered all the questions. I don't think we covered half of the ones we brought up at the start, but I think that was hopefully interesting nonetheless. Gave people something to think about and perhaps respond to, because I always like to see what people think about what's going on with Thrawn, what he's up to, what Ezra's up to. But for now, that's all we got for you this time. So now it's your turn. Take to the comments below. Tell us what you think about any of this. Tell us what you think Thrawn's motivations are going to be. Are they going to hold to the books? Is Filoni going to retcon that? And how will that make you feel? Have you read the books? Do you care? Whatever the case may be, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.